Recognizes the gentleman from Oregon's 2nd District for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hughes, I'm looking at the LEED Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design standards, which I'm from Oregon, and so I'm extremely familiar with these, having heard about them for years back in Salem during the 12 years I was in the Oregon legislature. The list of things that are green, and that's what this hearing is about today, includes location and transportation, sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, indoor environmental quality, innovation and design, and regional priority. These are all important matters, but they add between 10 and 30% to the cost of a house. And so my question to you is, how many of those things that I just listed are essential, in your opinion, to a home?
I guess they're all essential, but it should be, we feel like it should be left up to the homeowner as which are the most essential, which are the most important, which are they willing to pay extra for.
I wouldn't call them essential if you can choose, but maybe desirable is the word. Location and transportation, who wouldn't want that? Exactly. Sustainable site, all of these things are things that you would want. But if we're going to impose them upon people, there's the small matter of having to pay for them. And right now, there are huge groups of people who simply can't afford this kind of, should we call it a luxury, or what should we call it?
Yes, probably a luxury. And unfortunately, too many times those luxuries are what garner the most cost, or what people are more willing to pay. Location. You said it's sad to see as much money spent on location as it is when it could be, I'd rather see it spent on the envelope.
Yeah, so there is zero doubt that we need more housing, zero doubt of it. And this debate about whether those houses have to be green, in quotes, and right, using the LEED standard, is to me something that certain people can afford, but most people cannot.
Correct.
And when I first looked at this hearing, I thought we would be talking about building codes. I'm a lawyer, I've called one of my former clients, a building contractor, and I said, what's the most important thing about codes? You're a builder, what do you think his answer might have been?
I'm sorry, what?
I asked him what was the biggest problem when it came to building codes? And his answer was the inspector. That's how he answered it. And I agree with that, because the dramatic variability in who you get as an inspector.
Oh, sure.
So I have to say, as we're having this debate about codes, I'm amazed, because there's this underlying assumption that they're all equally applied, and that is simply not true. At least that's been my experience from a distance. How about yours?
Absolutely, and the term that I hate to hear the most when I ask an inspector a question sometimes is when they say, what I like to see, and I said, no, I'm not interested in what you like to see. What does the code say? It's very different.
But what I'm saying is, if we're going to debate whether it should be green or whether it should not, one has to understand the enormous amount of flexibility, which is a nice word I'm going to use, in the application of whatever those standards might be. And I just want to say that when it comes to affordability on the one hand and a code on the other, who should be making that decision, and where should it occur?
Homeowner.
The homeowner should make that choice. But when it comes to a code that's a mandate, it seems to me that there's the federal level of determining that, there's the state level of determining it, right, there's the local level, and then there's the inspector. So right, where would you suggest we focus our attention when we're trying to figure out how we're going to apply whatever code we might think is mandatory?
Personally, I feel like it should be done at a state level. Unfortunately, that varies too. There are some home rule states that leave it up to individual municipalities, counties, and cities, and which is a disaster, because more times than not, it comes down to that inspector. In North Carolina, we have a uniform code, and it's still a struggle to make sure that everybody gets the same answer.
It certainly is. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your participation. I yield back.